Let us continue. Let us continue lesson number 6, that is lesson number 5, classification of living things. This is the last lesson of this unit. So, Vatin, you just continue reading one page, then Lean can read it. First thing, what are the levels of classification? The biggest one was domain, then kingdom, phylum. You have class, order, family, genus, and species. You are not supposed to learn all those names. You just have to know that it is domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, GS, COGS, COF, GS. Class, order, family, genus, and species. Okay. Next here. What are the 3 domains? In domains, you can see here, in domains you have protist. Actually, domain means eukarya. That includes protist, fungi, plants, and
animals.
domain. We have, again, I'll say you have 4 divided into 4. Protist, fungi, plants, animalia. You have protist, you have fungi, you have plants, and animalia. I Okay, now next. Please read this out. Athene, you, and then let her continue.
Okay. What are the 3 domains? Scientists once used a 6-kingdom classification system, but later added the domain. A domain represents the largest differences among organisms in classification. The 3 domains are bacteria, archaea, and eukarya.
Okay, so the 3 domains are bacteria, archaea, and eukarya. In eukarya, I told you we have 4. Again, the 3 domains are bacteria, archaea, and eukarya. In eukarya, you have protist, fungi, plants, and animalia. Okay?
Okay.
Now, Lean.
Yeah.
Continue reading, Lean.
Okay. All bacteria belong to this domain.
No, from the beginning. Domain bacteria is made up of
Domain bacteria is made up of prokaryotes that usually have a cell wall and produce by cell division.
Okay, they say that it is prokaryotes and have a cell reproduced by cell division. Prokaryotes means no nucleus. Do you remember single cell? Remember from the beginning of the year, I'm saying you. All bacteria belong to this domain. Bacteria live in almost every environment. Continue, Lean. Bacteria live in?
Bacteria live in almost any environment, soil.
And any environment, soil?
Any environment, soil, water, and even inside the human body.
Yes, bacteria, they even stay inside our human body. Okay, continue, Lean.
Okay.
Now see, I told you domain, we have 3 classes, bacteria, archaea, and eukarya. So I told about, Jolene just read about bacteria, that they stay inside the body. They are prokaryotes. Now we'll discuss about the The second one, that is archaea. Continue. Archaea is made up of?
Okay, archaea is made up of prokaryotes that differ from bacteria in their genetics and in the makeup of their cell walls.
Archaea?
Archaea live in harsh environments.
Guys, what's the meaning of harsh environments? That means extreme. You know the meaning of extreme? Either very hot or very cold. You remember last year when I was teaching you, I used to open my hands and I used to say, go to the right corner, it's extreme hot. And go to the left corner, extreme cold. Like two conditions are very harsh conditions. Either very hot or very cold. Archaea live in harsh environments such as hot spring and thermal vents where other organisms could not survive.
Hot springs and thermal vents where other organisms could not survive. Some archaea are found in the open ocean and in soil.
They are in the open ocean and in soil. Okay. Malak, can you tell me the three types of domain? First is, tell me domains.
Animalia.
No, see, that comes under eukarya. First, there are three classes. First is bacteria. Second,
Bacteria, fungi.
And third is eukarya. In eukarya, you have protist, fungi, plantae, and animalia. Again, there are three classes of domain: archaea, bacteria, and eukarya. These are the three classes of domain. Okay?
Archaea, fungi, and
no fungi. Bacteria. Archaea, bacteria, and eukarya. In eukarya, you have protist, fungi, plantae, and animalia. Okay? See, when I say domain, open your three fingers and say archaea, bacteria, and eukarya. Then open your four fingers and say this is eukarya. Eukarya have plantae, animalia, protist, and fungi. So coming to domain eukarya, I will read this. It's made up of all eukaryotes. The name itself says that it is multicellular. Eukaryotes from beginning of the grade 6, you know that it is multicellular. It is more than one cell. They have cells with a nucleus, membrane-bound organelles, such as protists and some fungi, even are single cell. Some of them, some of them. Other protists as well, fungi, plants, and animals are multicellular. Scientists have classified 4 types of eukarya. What are the 4 types? Protists, fungi, plantae, and animalia. Scientists do this by deciding if organism is unicellular or multicellular, and if it makes own food as well as how it reproduces. Members of the protista called, before we see, we'll just watch a video, girls. And then let me see if I can open one. I wish it's open.
Imagine that you are a scientific organism with a duck's bill, a beaver's tail, and venomous spurs on its hind feet. Then you notice a spiny little organism that looks like a porcupine, but has a longish nose. Have you just discovered a new species? Click on the highlighted organisms to learn more about them and how they are classified. It's easy to see that this organism is a bird. It has feathers and wings. But you may never have seen a bird quite this colorful. Sometimes scientists are able to identify organisms based on their obvious features. This small bird is a Merops ornatus, or rainbow bee-eater. It is closely related to other birds that also eat insects, such as bees and wasps. They make up the family Meropidae.
They're saying it the name of the family. You don't need to name it. They just say that it's a very special bird, colorful bird here. Okay. Sometimes we get new birds with different species.
It's not so easy to tell just by looking what kind of organism this is.
Tell me what
Do you
kind
classify it as a bird because of its bill, or as a beaver because of its tail?
Tell me what
Scientists have determined that this organism is a mammal. It lays eggs, which is unusual for mammals, but it lacks feathers and has other mammal-like characteristics.
Girls, can you hear
This
the video?
isn't a new species,
Yeah, miss.
but it is certainly different from many other animals. It is an echidna. Scientists have determined that platypuses and the 4 species of echidna are the only existing species in the order Monotremata. Although at first glance,
Echidna. All are peculiar names, very different names.
welcome to the lesson, Classification of Living Things. In this lesson, you'll explore how scientists sort living things into groups based on shared characteristics. In order to complete this lesson, you should know the difference between living and non-living things, the basics of cell structure and function, and the difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. The vocabulary words for this lesson are genus, species, domain, bacteria, archaea, eukarya, protista, fungi, plantae, and animalia. Click E.
Can you read this again, Malak? The names of the vocabulary? Genus,
Yes. Genus, species, domain, bacteria, archaea, eukarya, protista, fungi, plantae,
plantae,
animalia.
animalia. All right.
each word to learn more about it. Let's say you collect plants as a hobby. You've spent several summer days collecting and drying plant samples. Now you need to figure out how to sort the plants so that you can look them up and label them. How will you do this? Lucky for you, a system of classification was developed nearly 300 years ago to help you complete such a task.
How will you classify them? Maybe you have a hobby of collecting plants. That's what they're asking. Maybe you're looking at the shape of the leaves, maybe looking at the conical flowers or the sunflower flower. I'm sorry, I don't know why did I go back.
Let's say you collect The story of how we classify living things takes us back to the 18th century. Click the first picture to discover more. The 18th century was a time of discovery. Explorers and traders encountered new plants and animals around the world. They didn't have a clear system for naming them, though, and that led to confusion. One scientist had a solution. Carolus Linnaeus, also called Carl von Linné, was a young Swedish medical student. Plants were important to medicine, and the study of them, called botany, became Linnaeus's passion. He developed a system to classify the plants that he studied, and later included animals.
He was the one who was a medical student at Caroline Linnaeus, and he was in love with plants which are used for medicine. That is, we say botany, biology, botany, plants. So he was the one who classified plants, and later he did the same with animals.
In 1735, Linnaeus published Systema Naturae, a pamphlet describing his system. His idea was to give each kind of living thing a two-part scientific name. This type of naming system is called binomial nomenclature. For example, a species is a group of closely related organisms. Animals in the same species can mate to produce fertile offspring, but animals in different species cannot. For example, horses and donkeys are separate species.
But they
Even though they can mate, their offspring will not be fertile. A mule is the offspring of a horse mated with a donkey. It is not fertile.
Did you understand? See, same species, horses and donkeys are same species. If they mate and they give new offspring, an example is mule, they are not fertile, they say that.
Modern taxonomy builds on Linnaeus's work. Taxonomy is the science of describing, classifying, and naming living things. Today, scientists use many groups to classify living things. DNA technology helps scientists determine relationships between species. In addition, they use physical structure and genetic information to classify living things. The system of classification that Linnaeus developed had only two kingdoms, plants and animals. Modern classification has three domains of living things and subdivides one of those domains, Eukarya, further into four kingdoms. These groupings.
First thing, domain has three classes. The first is bacteria, second is archaea, and third is eukarya. Now eukarya is divided into four classes: protist, fungi, plantae, and animalia.
Help sort organisms based on physical characteristics and genetics. Click each image to find out more. Organisms are first classified based on whether they are prokaryotes or eukaryotes. A prokaryote is a single-celled organism that doesn't have a nucleus. Two of the three domains, bacteria and archaea, contain all the prokaryotes. The domain eukarya contains only eukaryotes. Each cell in a eukaryote has a nucleus enclosed by a membrane. Eukarya has four kingdoms: protista, fungi, plantae, and animalia. Within the kingdoms, organisms are further grouped by whether they have one or many cells. Protista and fungi include...
What are the four classes of eukarya? It is protista, fungi, animalia, and plantae. Even in grade 5 we studied. Leen, can you tell me the four of them?
Okay. The four are fungi.
Under eukarya, the four one are protista, fungi,
Protista, fungi, bacteria.
No. Eukarya cannot have bacteria, Leen. It has protista, it's multicellular. Protista, fungi, animalia, and plantae. It have archaea, bacteria, and eukarya. Again, girls, domain have three, and bacteria have eukarya has four. Okay?
Yeah.
It's protista, fungi, and what, miss?
Animalia,
And eukarya.
The domain eukarya contains only eukaryotes. Each cell in a eukaryote has a nucleus enclosed by a membrane. Eukarya has four kingdoms: protista, fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. Within the kingdoms, organisms are further grouped by whether they have one or many cells. Protista and fungi include both single-celled and multicellular organisms. Most organisms in the kingdoms Plantae and Animalia, such as trees and mammals, are multicellular. However, both single-celled algae and multicellular kelp are in the kingdom Protista, and both single-celled yeast and multicellular mushrooms are in the kingdom fungi.
Who raised the hand here? Oh, she's Malak. Malak, any question? Or by mistake?
No, Miss, by mistake.
Okay. So they are saying that multicellular are usually plant and animals, okay? And when I say eukarya, it comes, by the name itself, they know that most of them are multicellular. They say that fungi includes mushroom and yeast. And Protista include algae. You know algae? What you have that sticky, so not sticky, slippery substance in the beach.
Yeah.
Then we have plants and we have animals.
Scientists also separate organisms by the way they get their food. Autotrophs make their own food, while heterotrophs depend on other organisms for food. Plants and algae are autotrophs and use the process of photosynthesis to make their own food. They need chloroplasts for this job. Chloroplasts are green, so many autotrophs are green as well.
Many of the plants are green in color because they have chloroplast, which have a pigment called chlorophyll. We have done many a times, girls, all of these things.
Fungi are heterotrophs and get their food by breaking down dead.
Fungi is decomposer, right? It's a mushroom.
Yeah.
Mushroom comes under fungi. It's a decomposer. It breaks down food using chemicals. Under heterotrophs. It doesn't make its own food.
Organisms in the environment and absorb.
Okay, girls, I will continue in my next class. I hope you understood the lesson.